Today I'm doing a demo of the absolute latest Tom Freeman audio effects release. It's the Bolero V2. Some of you may be aware that I had a pedal called the Bolero earlier on that was essentially a silicon recreation of the famous Mark II tone bender. This is basically the next step in its evolution. It's all based on the circuit of the tone bender, that classic 60s fuzz that was still able to get a good crunch, but nice and spitty and everything. However, instead of germanium transistors, it uses two silicon devices and one Mosfet device for an even bigger, more aggressive sound. So this thing definitely has a flavor of, vintage fuzzes from the 60s and 70s, but it, has a bit more teeth to it and everything. Today I'm playing my Telecaster into my Blues Junior. If I get the time, I may switch to my SG for a second so you can hear with humbuckers. But, yeah. Let's hear the dry sound. And I'll put the pedal back on, but raise the volume up a little bit. So it's... So, like I said, I basically took the tone bender circuit and added silicon transistors in the original Bolero. This, I added the third stage. Instead of a normal silicon BJT transistor, I put in a Mosfet device. For those of you who don't know, FETs are, field effect transistors. You either get JFETs or MOSFETs. Anyways, they have a tendency to react much more like a tube would in a circuit than other standard BJT transistors would. So it's not exact. I'm not saying that they sound exactly like tubes, but they sound more tubey than other transistors. Which is a pretty cool thing because you see a whole lot of those amp emulator pedals, like especially those from Wampler and Cattle and Bread, that they use FET transistors all the time to get those tube-like sounds, emulating like Marshall or Vox pedals or higher gain things. So I thought it would be fun to replace the one gain stage, the transistor, that gain stage, with a Mosfet, and it's giving it a more aggressive sound. I'll crank up the gain to show you exactly what I mean. So immediately you notice that, like, it's fuzzy, especially at the top end, has a nice raspy sound that, just gives it a really hard edge, but it stays very, very tight. A lot of vintage fuzz designs, namely fuzz face and fuzz face derivatives, have like a bass overload thing, which essentially means a lot of your guitar's lows and everything enter the circuit without being attenuated, and then it can make a cool woolly sound, but it gets really really flubby sometimes. Whereas this, you can like get really a tight low end out of this, which is suitable for crunchy sounds and work. Bit of music there to demonstrate that, just me playing some power chords and everything, but you know, it does the job to show you how it isn't flubbing out or anything. Another change I made to the circuit was I wanted to give it, you know, make sure that the pedal had plenty of sustain to it, but still had a lot of the classic tone bender attack. So on the first gain stage, I actually added two diodes in a similar arrangement to how Big Muff has its diodes. So it still has most of the attack, but the diodes are there, just adding a tiny little bit of soft clipping so that you get the attack, but you know, it just smoothens things out enough so that you know. This is, you know, a Telecaster with single coil pickups. Like, you know, you can set it up with certain amp settings to get nice sustain if you have it loud enough, but typically, well, the pickups I have in this aren't what I would describe as plinky sounding, but, you know, single coil pickups and Telecasters generally aren't known as the most sustaining guitars and pickups out there. Which is why I'm hoping I'm getting this right. It's been a while since I watched it, but if you watch the documentary, it might get loud in the section where Jimmy Page is talking about, you know, getting his fuzz from, I think it was Roger Mayer, he said it was. Yeah, it would be Roger Mayer. He wanted more sustain and fatness and girth out of his guitar, so he had a, you know, a fuzz built up for him. And it just, you know, fuzzes, especially the tone bender, just, you know, lift your sound up and give like almost square wave type fuzz tones that just really give you a fat sound. Maybe I wouldn't say lift up, that implies that this will cut through the mix. Although that does lead to the next thing I want to mention. So yeah, this doesn't have any like active circuitry or whatnot that'll boost the mids or anything like that. However, in adding the tone knob right in the center there, I chose to go for like a simple, like, you know, treble cut style tone control, which as you turn it to the left, it you know, allows some of your high end to go to ground, like this. But when you turn it up all the way, it starts acting a little bit like a bright cap. Not from, not a very like, you know, large value bright cap, but you know, enough that you know, you can dial in a little bit more presence if needed. Although with this type of circuit, tone bender, you hardly need extra top end. But anyways, the reason I chose this style of tone control is because it's passive, which meant you know, I didn't have to fit in like an extra op amp or you know, special you know, special active circuit kind of thing, some transistor arrangement to have it boost or cut. I just wanted to have it so that, you know, if it's too bright, you can turn it down, and if you want you know, want it full out, you just start turning it right, and yeah. The reason why I mention this is important, that it's just a passive treble cut style control, is that classic 3-knob tone benders, which this is not the same circuit as the 3-knob tone bender, it's based on the Mark II tone bender. I won't get into all that, just they're different circuits. But anyways, the 3-knob tone bender that did have a tone control, it was kind of like a Big Muff style control, a little bit different, but you know, it was basically blending in like a Big Muff style tone control is basically a blend control between like a high passed sound and a low passed sound, which results in a very scoop sound, and you can turn it to the left to get a darker bassier tone, or to the right to get a thinner treblier tone, but that, you know, that mid scoop is always there. This, on the other hand, this just really affects the treble. It doesn't really do anything to the low end. So listen. So as you can hear, like, it's, you know, not affecting the mid-range or anything, and not affecting the bass, it's just adjusting the highs. So, you know, you can have it like really biting and gritty, or you can smooth it out a bit. So the next thing I'll show you is some of the different textures you can get by playing with the gain knob or your guitar volume. So that's just with the guitar volume. But unlike fuzz face designs, this actually sounds kind of decent with the gain turned down. In fact, all the way down is. You get you know, kind of distorted sound, like not full out fuzz, but enough that you can easily get decent crunch out of it, and it doesn't sound muffled or hindered. So yeah, it's great design. I'm very proud of it. Like, I literally, for this V2 version of the Bolero, I put a lot of thought into the design of it, and literally, as soon as I built up the prototype, like, I didn't have to change anything on it. Like, everything worked and sounded exactly the way I pictured it in my mind, or heard it in my mind, rather. So, I'm very happy with it. I have a run of 3 made up at the moment. This one, this one, and this one. 2 of them I'm going to put up for sale immediately. The other one I may either keep for myself or put up for sale a bit later. But either way, they're going to be available pretty much now. So if you're interested, contact me, and I'll get, you know, I'll work out a deal with you, but they're well, not a deal, but they're $160 Canadian. And so, as you may notice, instead of the standard bare enclosure, which I usually build my effects in, I've started, ordering colored enclosures. These aren't exactly the shade of red that I had been hoping for, but they still look pretty cool. For the first three pedals built of this new Bolero design. And the circuit boards I've completely redesigned as well, so that they're held in place by the potentiometers, and everything's like rigidly held together, and so basically it's very, very neat and tidy inside the pedal. And pretty much the only thing, if something wears out, it'll either be the jack or the switch, just because those are the parts that see the most mechanical movement. So yeah, I'm very proud of how these turned out, all three of them. Any other information I should say at this time? Yeah, the inside of the pedal has a trim pot. I have it set for 4.5 volts on the Mosfet device, but you can play around with it for larger bias voltage, or you can starve the voltage so that you get a spittier Velcro type fuzz sound. But otherwise, I would just leave it as it is for the most part. I have it marked with Sharpie on there in case you forget the position it was in, but yeah, you can play around with it if you want, but if you lose the spot and anything, or the marker wears off, just use a Sharpie or something. Yeah, so before I turn this video off, I think I'll show you how it sounds with my SG. It's thankfully I put new strings on both the Telly and SG a little while ago, so this might not be in tune, but I won't subject you to the sounds of it being tuned up. Apologies for the scratchiness there. That's just the sound of my SG's volume knob for the treble pickup. But yeah, that's about all I have to say for the design right now. If anyone is interested in buying it, just contact me at tomfreemanoudioeffects@gmail.com, or head to Paul's Boutique. I hope to have one or two of these pedals dropped off there for tomorrow or the weekend. And of course I'll be making more. These first three obviously don't have them, but I know I keep promising these in my videos, but as you can see, I've made headway with changing the color of the boxes. Yes, there will soon be graphics on future versions, but if you want serial numbers 1, 2, or 3, these are them. So, you know, if this pedal thing takes off, you can say you have one of the first serial numbers of like the all-new reboot of the Bolero. If anyone is interested in doing a demo of these, by all means let me know, and I'll see what I can do to hook you up with one of these, and hopefully make a cool video to show off what these fuzz pedals can do better than I can do. Yeah. So that's the Bolero V2. Thanks for watching the video. Sorry for rambling on as I usually do, but hopefully that gives you an idea of what this sounds like, what this pedal's all about. Basically just me, improving upon a past design I had and just making it as good as possible, and it turned out better than I expected, and I'm very happy with how my designing has gone on. My design skills have improved. So yeah, you can, like I said, you can contact me at tomfreemanaudioeffects@gmail.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of which are, you can look up variations of Tom Freeman Audio Effects or TFA effects. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe and hit the notification icon so that you get all the latest updates on videos I post. Anyways, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.